Hi, welcome to practice. This is a yin yoga cool down sequence, so multiple purposes. Cooling down after exercise. So I've just had a long walk. I did a strength class yesterday, taught a strength class. So I'm quite sore and stiff. So I'm going to use this for that purpose, for a bit of a cool down and a muscle stretch. Could also be a really nice option on days when it is just very hot and humid and sultry and you want to stretch but you don't really want to get sweaty or out of breath. And also maybe as a part of your de-stressing, if you just need to actually cool down from a lot of stress, these kinds of long held poses can be really, really nice as a kind of mindfulness practice. So lots of applications for this one. I'm using a rolled up blanket as my prop. I've made like a little burrito roll with it. Remember, with yin yoga, we are holding the poses for anything from a minute and a half, up to 5 minutes. So you're never going right to the end range of motion. It's not like an active stretch where you're recruiting lots of muscles to get the stretch. Instead, you're relaxing into the pose and allowing that long time in the pose to stretch the tendons and the ligaments and to give you that nice feeling of release. So go to maximum 60-70% of your range. So think about, what would I be doing if I was doing an active stretch, and then dial it back. It will feel like not very much at first, but remember, you're staying in it for so long. If you try and do those stretches at your full range and stay in them for 4 or 5 minutes, it will be unbearable by the end, like unbearable. And your breath will be short and you'll be gasping and your other muscles will be tensing to compensate, and then you'll get injuries. That's how injuries happen. So dial it back, trust the process. Relaxing into it is what you want. And once we find the pose, you're just resting there, calming the mind, focusing your attention on sensation or on your breath. If you notice your mind is wandering, see if you can bring it back to the practice. It's not always easy. So let's start with a stretch for the feet and ankles. And I'm going to kneel on my little blanket roll to pad my knees and lift them a little bit, and then tuck my toes for a toe squat. And you might be all the way up here, or you might be a little bit forward. You might keep your hands down. We just want that nice stretch up the soles of the feet. You might, over time in the pose, find that you can relax into it a little bit more. Now, I don't want to become too rigid in this one, so this is quite a tricky one for me, particularly because I broke my big toe 2 years ago, so it doesn't love staying in this pose. So I'm probably going to move in and out of it a little bit, and that is absolutely fine as well. So just think about that nice stretch on the soles of the feet. We'll just stay for about another 10 breaths. And then when you're ready to come out, just walk forward so that you can come off your toes and pitter-pat them a little bit. And then we're going to widen our knees. I'm going to turn around so you can see this. And take the bony part at the top of one foot into the sole of the other foot. Spread your knees as wide as you would like so that you can press with some pressure the bony part of one foot into the sole of the other, and move it around a little bit and just give the sole of your foot like a little bit of a mash. Little bit of pressure around the arch, maybe the base of the toes. And then we'll get the top of your shin over the Achilles heel. And same thing, just bringing a little bit of pressure down. And you can move it slowly up towards the base of the calf, bringing your weight on and off it. You might shift a little bit from side to side. Once you feel like you've worked that calf enough, you could obviously pause the video and spend as long as you like on this. We'll just change sides. So bony part of the top of the other foot into the sole of that foot and moving it around the inside of the arch, maybe across the base of the toes, getting a little bit of a foot massage. This is so nice if you've been wearing hiking boots or maybe just doing something like a run where you're bashing your feet a lot. Just encouraging a little bit of blood flow. And then you can move top of the shin into the Achilles and gradually move your way up the calf. One leg may be tighter than the other. So don't be surprised if you have more sensation on one leg than the other leg. Oh, I just found a knot. Oh my calf. Oh. I might leave until I'm not filming myself to get that one out. Golly gosh. Okay. So work all the way up the calf. And once you feel like you've got a nice bit of extra blood flow, just circle out the ankles and just notice how the back of the calves and the feet feel. And then we'll come down. I'm coming down onto the left edge of my mat. Find Sphinx pose first. Little gaze forward and a little stretch on your stomach muscles. Slight push down of the tops of the toes so you can lift your belly away from the floor. And we'll stay here now before we transition into frog pose. Just for a couple of minutes. Try and keep the gaze forward and the shoulder blades clipped back. Nice deep breaths to stretch the abdominals. So again, if you've been doing something like running that's really demanding on the abdominals, this is a really nice pose for you. Also good if you've just been curling up over a computer or a phone. We're going to move into half frog on the right. So this is why you're on the left side of the mat. So you can slide the knee out so it's in line with your hip, and the foot is also turned out and the foot is flexed. And this is where you might like that blanket roll underneath the hip so that it's not sinking all the way down to the ground and it has something to land on. It can be really stabilizing for the hip and for the low back. And then we'll just start by rolling that back foot in and out a few times. A little flexion and extension of the hamstring and the glute. Noticing how that quad feels. And then if you like, you can reach back with your right hand to find the foot for a quad stretch. And then this will be your pose. If you don't want to do the quad stretch, you can just come down, maybe curl a little bit towards that knee and get a little bit of a side bend stretch. See what feels most useful to you. And then we will settle in and hold the pose for 1.5 minutes or so. If you had the quad stretch, gently release it. And if you're in a more supine version, gradually straighten yourself up. Take the blanket out if you were using it. Straighten the legs and just wiggle the hips. Notice the differences, left to right, and then we'll just move cross, so you're lined up with the right side of the mat. You might start for a breath in Sphinx pose to find that engagement of the core. Sorry about the siren. Then left knee can come out to line up with your hip, and the left foot flexes, and maybe tuck that blanket roll underneath your hip for extra support. And we'll just start by engaging the hamstring a few times. And then maybe support yourself with your right forearm and reach with your left hand to find that quad stretch, and that will be your pose. I think I'm quite in need of that on this side. Your other option, to come down and curl round towards your knee and get that stretch on your low back. I'm going to gradually shift back to center. Take a moment just to wiggle your hips out. Notice how they feel. You might also notice a little down regulation of the nervous system happening. A little bit more stillness and quietness starting to creep over you. Let's flip over onto our backs. And we'll bring the blanket roll now underneath the tailbone. So it feels like a very kind of small bolster, right? And it just gives a little bit of extra lift for the pelvis. Wiggle your shoulders away so that you have that nice feeling of the stomach kind of dropping down towards the ground. And then we'll bring right ankle over left knee. And you could just stay here on the ground, or you might lift. And we're just going to actually rock a little bit from side to side. So the blanket roll gives you a nice little bit of pressure massage. And you can just gently stretch that glute before we come to stillness. Once you've found that comfortable place where you've just got that 70% stretch, maybe you thread through to hold it, or you could do, I love this one, left hand on the shin and right hand supporting the knee, and my elbows on the floor is also really nice. Less of a kind of effort. See what works for you. Slow, deep breaths. Gently, gently release out of that big glute stretch. Press your foot up to take the blanket out and move your hips a little bit to the right. Lengthen your left leg and roll onto your left hip. And you might extend that right leg here if you like. That might be one option. You might have two bent knees. Or what I'm going to do is that quad stretch variation. I'm going to find my foot and hold it. And then open up my shoulders and extend that leg out. It's a cat pulling its tail. And if you feel like your shoulder's very high off the ground, pop your blanket roll underneath it. Just staying here for a minute and a half to get a nice IT band stretch, a little bit of a quad stretch. Ready. Bend that knee. Let go of your foot. Gently come back onto your back and maybe curl up a little bit. Stretch the low back or take any other little moves that feel good for you. We'll finish by taking those poses on the other side. So I'm going to pop my blanket roll back under my tailbone for that little bit of lift. Find your figure 4 and with your feet on the ground or lifted, a little bit of a roll side to side to check in with the glute. Spicy glutes. Eventually you'll come to that still version of the pose. See what feels good for you here. Settle in. Nice deep breaths. Gently ease out of the figure 4. I want to slide that blanket out. We're going to come over into a little twist to the right, or that cat pulling its tail variation. So you might just drop over, straighten that leg, straighten the top leg. You might prefer knees bent, or reach and find your bottom foot. And gradually relax back down. Cat pulling its tail. So big IT band stretch on the top left leg, a little bit of a quad stretch on the right, and a twist for the spine.
tighter IT band on this side. There we go. Gently ease out of your twist. Oh, little chance for a little tuck up of the tailbone, maybe some circling. Sorry, there's more sirens. I don't know if the mic's picking that up. And then pop the blanket roll maybe behind like the back of the neck, so that you get a little bit of lovely support and pressure under the back of the neck. Arms out at the side, palms facing up. Your legs could be long or feet flat, whatever suits you. Let's finish with 10 rounds of a cooling breath. So for the cooling breath, you're going to breathe in through your mouth, out through the nose. But take your tongue and curl it so the tip touches the roof of the mouth, so that as you breathe in through your mouth, you're sucking air either side of the tongue, cooling it down. Then you'll seal your lips, blow out through your nose. Nice long exhale. That's one round. So let's just gently keep going, noticing the feeling of the air moving across your palms and those points of relaxation in the body where we have gently stretched and eased tension out. The hips, lower abdominals, glutes, the hamstrings a little bit, quads and feet, and a little bit into the shoulders and upper back. When you finished your 10 rounds, just notice if you feel a little bit cooler. If your feet are on the ground, you might extend your legs, or you might prefer butterfly or some other shape. And let's just come into Shavasana. Sometimes from doing yoga during the day, I don't do Shavasana, as you know. I prefer maybe putting my feet up on a chair or seated meditation. But I think after a cool down practice, just giving the body a chance to be still, to not do anything, to really not use any muscular effort whatsoever. It's a really important part of the recovery, just like feeding yourself well, being hydrated, having a good night's sleep, are all part of the way that we support our body to get the benefit from exercise. So just encourage you to stay here in Shavasana for a good 5 minutes if you can. You might not be able to, that's fine. But as long as you can, just resting, enjoying the sensations of release in your body. And when you are ready to get up, just really take your time and do it mindfully, moving nice and slowly. And I hope you found this practice really supportive. Thanks for taking care of yourself today.